Hallo, liebe Leute. Today it's gonna be slightly different. We're gonna talk in English, but also in German. Normalerweise machen wir auf Deutsch, aber heute haben wir einen Gast dabei, der nicht ganz so gut Deutsch kann, deswegen werden wir sicher auf Englisch umstellen. Aber cool, dass ihr da seid. Ich habe wieder auf der Seite diese seltsamen Balken, die nerven mich, denn immer, wenn ich es ausprobiere, sind die nicht da. Und dann, wenn wir streamen, habe ich diese Balken. Also wenn irgendjemand weiß, woher diese Balken kommen, der kann sie gerne abholen. Ich brauche die nicht. Okay, unser heutiger Gast, we're gonna switch in English during the interview, but for starters, just the boring nonsense I'm babbling in German. Der Typ, den ich eingeladen habe, ich kann seinen Namen gar nicht richtig aussprechen, weil er italienisch ist. Und ich habe nur so 5, 10 Minuten mit ihm geredet an der E-Games in Bern. Während der Swiss Toy gab es da eine Ecke mit Videospielen und da war er da mit seinem Indie-Label Stilex Software und ich habe da kurz mit ihm gequatscht und habe ihn jetzt angeskypt. Ich habe 5 Minuten mit ihm geredet. Ich habe auch keine Ahnung, wer er ist, aber macht sehr einen sympathischen Eindruck und ja, heißt ihn doch willkommen, der Stefano.
Hallo Silas, ich bin sehr zufrieden, um hier zu sein.
Schön. Ja, dann würde ich sagen, dann starten wir.
Ja, gerne.
Starten wir. Und ich habe keine Ahnung, wieso, das ist mir. Ah, das Bild. Jetzt haben wir es. Okay. Leute, vergebt mir, ich bin blutiger Anfänger. Wenn jemand weiß, wie ich diese seltsamen Balken auf der Seite wegkriege, meldet euch bei mir. Ja, Stefano, cool, dass du da bist.
Danke.
Schön. Erzähl was von dir. Was machst du so?
So, zuerst, ich heiße Stefano Maccarinelli. Ich bin der Gründer von Stelex Software. Stelex Software ist eine sehr kleine Softwarehaus. Wir sind nur 2 Leute und, und wir sind aus Bellinzona, Südschweiz, so Tessin.
Genau.
Und ja, and my German stops here.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like this because Switzerland is not that big, but we have like 4 official languages: so French, German, Italian, and the Rätoromanisch, however that's called in English. So it's form of Latin. But anyway, so you're in the Italian speaking part,
Right.
and you have like this indie game stuff going on. So what are you doing?
So we love, first of all, we are gamers, so we love to play games. And in 2004, we created our first game, and it was a point-and-click adventure game because we just love to tell stories with Sterex software. We focus a lot on the narrative side of the gaming. And so the first game was called I Misteri di Magia. It is unfortunately only in Italian right
Okay.
now,
Okay,
but
okay.
maybe we will translate it sooner or later in English or German. And yeah, this was our first game we did. It was just me and a friend of mine. And as you can see, is all set in Maggia. Maggia is a small village from here, from Ticino, from Maggiatal.
Ah, really? I was there once, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
As a child, it's quite beautiful. I mean,
yeah.
Ticino is really the greatest part of Switzerland.
Yeah, the whole Switzerland is very, very
Yeah,
nice.
but you know, like the Italian speaking part is really cool.
Yes, Maggia Valle is near Locarno, and it's very green. It's very big area, and the Maggia is one of the biggest towns of this valley. And this kind of game, as you can see, it's all made by pictures. We took around 3,000 pictures to cover all the village, and it was much before the Google Street View.
Okay.
Much before.
Yeah.
And the game is it's a point and click adventure game. It's a treasure hunt in this small village. And the style of the game, it's like the games like Mist Riven. I don't know if
Ah,
you
okay.
know
Yeah,
the
I remember this one.
saga.
It was
Yeah,
I was a bit too young. I didn't really get it, but yeah.
yeah, this was the main inspiration behind this game.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's all a sequence
Yeah.
of static images
Yeah.
with some animation and yeah, basically like Myst.
That's really good. So, also ich habe ihn gefragt, was er so macht. Er hat diese Softwarebude und sie haben da vor 11 Jahren angefangen, im 04. Und zwar haben sie einen Point-and-Click gemacht mit Hunderten von Fotos aus der Landschaft. Wie ich gerade sehe, kann man das sich hier runterladen. Leider nur auf Italienisch.
Yeah.
Diejenigen, die Italienisch können, die können sich das da hier runterziehen. And also, you also did it for iOS or web
Yeah,
apps,
right.
something like
So,
this.
so the PC game it's just available for PC, but it works only on the Windows 10. Sometimes we do a small update to be to let the game be compatible with the new version of Windows.
Yes,
And
because it's
I
so
for
old. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I forgot to say it's free.
It's free. Yeah.
We made this game freeware so everybody can download it and play it for free, and it's unbelievable. After so many years, there is a lot of people that are still downloading the game.
Okay.
And we still receive emails about it with questions, with congratulations and stuff.
That's cool.
And we are very happy of it. And then what happened? The iPhones and stuff come out, and we tried to do a small version of the games for iOS too. But it's not the full game. It's just a portion of it, and it's it's a light version of it. It used to be on the Apple Store, but now it's only as a web app, so you can play it on the browser.
But currently, what are you working on? Also, was machst du im Moment da?
So, wir sind am Arbeiten auf 2 Spiele. We are working on 2 games. Before these 2 games, we also had another project. It was called Dice Hockey, and it was also a game for the iOS. It was a cool experience because we are also fans of the board games, you know, classic games, and we had this idea years ago of doing a board game about hockey, so with dice and stuff.
Okay.
And so we talked, okay, what about doing a game, a board game, but for iOS? And so we created this dice hockey. It's a mix, it's a joke between dice and ice hockey.
Yes.
And had a little bit of success, and we were very proud of it because we also received the official license from the Swiss National Hockey League.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
So
because
you
there are
use
only
the
2
logos and
games.
stuff.
There are only 2 games in the world that are using the real logos and stuff, and one is the NHL series from EA Sports.
Really?
And so we were very proud of it. Now it's no more on the Apple Store. We removed it because we wanted to improve it in the future.
Okay.
But now, as you said, we are working on 2 new games.
Yes. So that's actually why we met, because you had one of those games, especially. No, we had both games.
We had both, yeah.
Okay. So first one. I have pictures of this one. So Eselmir, it's apparently, if I got it correct, it's a point and click adventure style fantasy game.
Right, you're correct. It's as you said, it's a 2D point and click adventure game. It was inspired by the old classics of the genre. I mean, LucasArts Age and the Sierra and stuff. And the game will tell the story of Eselmir, this is the main character, and his journey to find the 5 magical lost gifts of King Theoden. And the game will lead the players to to explore an imaginary fantasy world, because it's a fantasy. It is an atypical fantasy because it's made up of stories within the story, one enclosed in the other.
Like Arabian Nights.
Yeah,
The
like
whole-
doesn't want
that's so
this
good.
one. And it's fun because the concept of the game was inspired and based on text and drawings of a young, talented Swiss writer. He's also from the Italian-speaking side of the Switzerland, and it's called Sebastiano Brocchi. Brocchi wrote a fantasy trilogy, and it's called the Pirin trilogy. And now only the first volume is available, and the second one will be available next year. And yeah, the game is set in this universe and of his own creation. The particular thing about this game is that we are working very close with the writer of this saga. This means that all the graphics, as you can see, it's are the same style that he used to illustrate the book, and are handmade by fantasy by Brocky itself.
Oh, really?
And
So the writer did the artworks too.
yeah,
Also wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, das Point-and-Click-Adventure von einem Autor aus der Schweiz, der die Texte so eine Trilogie geschrieben hat und daraus jetzt dieses Spiel entsteht und der macht die Illustration und auch für das Spiel selber.
ja, er hat auch die Geschichte geschrieben.
Ja, genau, sehr cool. Ich habe hier einen Trailer gefunden.
Ja.
Ich möchte den kurz zeigen und wenn wir den gesehen haben, kannst du dann was dazu sagen.
Ja, wir haben diese Trailer speziell für Swiss Toy Games vorbereitet. Und wir haben das erste Mal dort gezeigt. So we show this trailer especially for the Swiss Toy Games in Bern. And it had a lot of success. We are very happy about it. And since I think 1 week we published it on YouTube, so everybody can take a look at it. And as you can see on the trailer, you see two things. You can see, of course, the graphics. The artworks that you can see on this small teaser is the same style of the graphics of the games. And you can see another thing is that we focused very strong on the story. I was saying before that we are working very close with the creator of the book, with the writer, and this game is set on this universe, on this fantasy universe, and this means it's not the story of the first book he wrote. It's something else. It's like a spin-off. You know, it's just with other characters, but set in the same universe. So the people who read the book will not find the same characters, but the same word. Yeah, he is Sebastiano Brocchi.
That's him. That's the writer.
Yeah, he loves to take pictures of himself.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And the funny thing about Sebastiano is a very nice guy, but he knows nothing about video games.
Oh, really?
And that's the funny thing about him, because when we first talked about in doing a game in this universe, in this fantasy world, he was so happy about it, and he was he was saying stuff that you know that he doesn't know nothing about video games.
Okay.
But we joke a lot about this, and it's very funny.
That's funny. But you apparently you know a lot about games. So you told me before the interview that you have a show on your own, like it's called Nerd 3.0.
Yeah, I mean, it's not our show. We are just a guest. I mean, it's a show on the Swiss radio. It's called Rete 3. It's like DRS3 für die Deutschschweizer oder Color 3 für die Belgier.
Okay.
It's it's the same kind of radio. It's a public radio. And since now it's the 4th season, so 4 years, we are already doing this. And every week, every Thursday evening, for 1 hour, we talk about nerd stuff. I mean, video games so and stuff. It's very funny because we try to talk about all the new games that are on the market, and it's very nice. You know, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, but. Most of all, we love to talk about small indie games like we do. Yeah, that's the website of the radio show. Yeah.
So but it's in Italian, but
yeah,
I really appreciate that things like this are going on, not only in the US, but really in here. That's so good.
And the funny thing about the Nerd is that we also now it's 4 years that we go to the Gamescom in Köln, in Germany, to follow all the shows. We also have been to the Milan Games Week. We've been to Paris Game Week in October.
Really? That must be interesting.
It's beautiful, and we, I had the chance meet all my heroes of my childhood. I mean, I'm a huge, maybe you can see on the background, I'm a huge
Exactly.
gamer, and I collect especially point and click adventure games of the 90s and 2000s. And yeah, we had a lot of interviews with Charles Cecil that he did the Broken Sword
Oh,
saga.
really? Okay.
In German, I think it's Baphomet's Fluch.
Yeah, yeah, Baphomet's
Yeah.
Fluch, genau.
Then we had an interview with Jane Jensen, the Gabriel Knight saga. That I
Mhm.
love this saga.
Mhm.
We had the chance to talk about last month with Ron Miller about
Mhm.
the Mist saga. Yeah, it was. It is very interesting because of this. Yeah,
That's so good. That's so good to hear because I think it's such a pleasure just like to share your fanness with other people. It's so good. So
yeah,
let's talk about the wall behind you. So
yeah.
can you explain with some items so where you started with the whole game thing and at what point and with what game you decided yes
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this as well.
All right. Well, my first console was the Sega Mega Drive that my parents gave me one Christmas. I think it was 89 or 90 maybe, and I just fell in love with video games. I used to play yeah, the Game Boy with at school with other some friends of mine, but my first real console was the Sega Mega Drive, and I really love all the games on this console. And yeah, behind me there is a lot of Mega Drive games, as you
Yes.
can see. And but what I really love about games, I mean, I like every kind of games, but I really love with the point and click adventure games. And I think
Okay.
the first one that I ever played was actually Myst.
Miss, yes,
Yeah,
I
Myst.
can remember that one.
I really love this game because I always used to play. I mean, classic platforms games, games for console, so platforms, action games, sports games, and stuff. And Myst was something completely different.
Yes.
I mean, there was nothing like Myst
And it
before.
was it was hard. You couldn't
Yeah,
look it up on the internet because the
yeah,
internet was
on
not
the
there.
solutions, yeah, yeah, because it was not easy, and I really love the idea. So since Myst, I always played every kind of game, but I try to play the most adventure games. So I played all the classic LucasArts games. I played all the
LucasArts.
Sierra games.
Yes. Yes.
King Quest is also a big inspiration for Asmir, and yeah, all the games from Revolution Software. Yeah, we really love with this kind of games,
That's good.
and yeah,
I can remember we were playing Indiana Jones and the Lost whatever. I can't remember. And it was
Indiana
so
Jones and the Fate of Atlantis,
Fate,
maybe.
yeah, Atlantis, and it was so
Wait,
good
hold on, wait.
because okay. Okay, also ja, wir haben über so viele Sachen gesprochen, ich habe vergessen zu übersetzen, aber ihr versteht das ja ohnehin, ihr könnt ja alle Englisch wegen Games und so. Yes, there it is, Fate of Atlantis.
Yeah,
So good.
I, I
And
have all the LucasArts game, have everything.
it's so good. And that was okay. In the chat, someone said like Blade Runner was very nice. I
Yeah, I
didn't
love.
know that Blade
Wait,
Runner
hold
was
on.
actually a game. The movie. I remember the movie, but there was a game. I don't know. Yes, so good.
I really love the movie Blade Runner
Yeah,
because it's
it was
one of my
crazy.
favorites.
It was
I mean,
crazy.
it's in my top five.
Yes.
Actually, in my top five, I have 20 movies, but it's one of my favorite movie of all time. And I really appreciate the game because
Yeah.
of it was something different because it's a point and click adventure game with some action aspect on it,
Mm-hmm.
and there are also different stories. I mean, you can play the games more times, have multiple choices
Mm-hmm.
and multiple endings. And this
Yeah,
was a good idea at the
that's
time. I think
that's
it
the
was
thing. Yeah.
in '97 that this game came out, and yeah,
Easy. I remember we were playing the Indiana Jones game, and somehow we managed to miss some really important items. And
yeah,
but yeah, it was at the point we found out it was too late, and you really there was not this safe game as it was today, and it was really like broken, and you really had to know it because you couldn't complete the game without
Yeah.
really play have it already played one time because it was quite
Yeah,
tough.
you're right. I mean, there are a lot of critics on this kind of game was because of this. It was too difficult, and it was too how can I say, really hard for the players because if they miss something, as you said, you were stuck. And LucasArts, for the first game, had some, how can you say, some point that you can't go back and try to play the game,
Redo.
go
Okay.
on. Yeah, some dead end street, as you can say. And since I think maybe the Monkey Island series, I remember very well this interview because they said that they didn't want to punish the player to explore the environment, so they made something that didn't punish the players because the players wanted to explore everything,
Yeah,
and it's
true.
not fair. It's not
They
fair
always want to.
to have a game over just because you want to explore the environment, and maybe more than the LucasArts, I think Sierra was unfair,
Yes.
especially on the first King Quests games. Yeah, there was I think there was a puzzle. I think it was the first King's Quest. There was a character. He was asking for his name, and there was no clue in the game of the name of this character. I mean, it was
You
something
had to
that you,
know it.
yeah, you had to know it. And if you didn't know it, game over.
Oh God, it's so unfair.
Yeah, and in the
Someone in the chat asked, what's your favorite game console? And someone is really jealous because he wants to have all the stuff in your background. So it's a nice collection, nice
I
collection.
have more than I think 800 games, original games, and then a lot of digital ones. But I prefer the boxed games, you know, the
Yes,
physical version of the
yes,
games
yes,
because I want to collect it. And so my favorite console,
yes.
they ask. So actually, as I think the Sega Mega Drive because it was my first console,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I'm really, I do say, special feelings of my
Yeah,
childhood on this console.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows this, like the
Yeah,
first
but
game.
this was my
Yeah,
historical, I mean,
yeah,
favorite console.
yeah.
But I think actually on all the new console, actual generation, I really in love with the PlayStation 4. I think it's my favorite right now.
Okay. Actually, I think there's a new sequel from King's Quest
Yeah,
out
right.
some weeks ago.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a new series of games. I think so. Sierra was inspired by Telltale.
yes,
Telltale did a great job with a lot of new games
yes.
from Back to the Future, but
Like
especially with The Walking Dead.
the
Walking Dead
the,
was
the, the
something
whole
special.
spin-off
Yeah.
series from different games or movies. That's quite, yes, I
Right,
heard it.
right, yeah. And the good thing about, the special thing about Telltale is that they made it as a TV series, I mean, with episodes.
Yes,
And the King's Quest took a great inspiration of this. I mean, this game will be also in 5 episodes. And the kind of games you have to do choices like in the Telltale series games. And I think it's good. I really liked it. What I liked about the first episode of the new King's Quest saga is that it's not so difficult because adventure games are
yeah,
sometimes hard to
really
play.
hard. Yes.
Yeah, very difficult. And
I
I
remember
think that
playing Monkey Island for the first time. I
it
don't
was
remember which
impossible.
one.
Yeah.
I don't, but it was really like I played 2 hours and I was like still at the same place with the same
Yeah,
items,
yeah,
and I was like,
because
okay, now
in the
I
90s
talk to
you
any.
didn't have
Yes,
internet for the solutions, so
yes.
you had to try and try
Oh,
again. And it was not so logical, the puzzles. I mean, you have to try everything on everything, and it was a difficult thing. But talking about the King's Quest, I think the good thing that they made is that they kept the humor
yes,
of the
the
series.
humor. Yes,
They
yes.
did a good job
Yeah, I
about
heard
it.
that too. So, but let's talk again about your games. So there is another game in the pipeline. and
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to it. And sorry, where is it? I don't know. This feel me, hear me.
Yeah, the name is Feel Me, Hear Me. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
So what can you tell about this game?
So we showed also a teaser of this new game at the eGames Swiss in Bern last October, and this one is a completely different mood and the kind of game of Eselmir. Eselmir was a 2D point-and-click adventure game. The graphics were all handmade and a very long game because Eselmir is we're trying to do a 15 20 hours of gameplay. It's huge for a small team. And the Feel Me Hear Me is different because it's first of all is all made by one person. Is my wife Tanya that is working on this game, and it's all 3D. I mean, everything you see in the game is made by her. It's made in 3D, and we use the power, the technology of Unreal Engine 4. It's a very powerful graphical engine. And this is a short story. I mean, gameplay is only about 1 hour, 1 hour 15, not very long. But also on this game, we wanted to tell a how to say a strong story, really something that touch you deep inside. And the style of the game, we also wanted to try something different because we don't want to offer games that are I know if I mean that you can see everywhere in the stores. We want to offer something different and something maybe that you can don't find very often, like the Eselmir, like point and click adventure games, but something different like Feel Me Hear Me is actually a narrative game. And I don't know if you know games like Gone Home or
Yeah, I just thought about this one because
yeah, right.
it really sounded like this.
This was the main inspiration behind it because also our game is set in a house. There is a full house that Tanya, my wife, created in 3D. There are more than 12, 13 rooms that you can explore. And actually, the game is just exploring the house and looking what happened really in the house. But you don't have a puzzle to solve or something or somebody to shoot or something like that. You just have to explore the house and collect all the memories of what happened in the house. Because when you first start the game, so maybe I should explain something about the game.
Or maybe let's just watch the trailer and
Yeah,
then
sure, sure.
probably the people will know something about it. And
Yeah.
let's see.
You can see the mood is it's kind of horror, psychological thriller. This object is very important in the game. It's a music box. I think it's in English. And it will be very important for the story because you just wake up one night in your room and this music box is playing by himself. And this one is one of the rooms of the house you can explore. And as you can see, it's all 3D. We used the Unreal Engine 4, as I said before. And yeah, there is actually there is a ghost in this house, and you don't know if this ghost is evil or not.
Okay,
And,
that's creepy. And the sound is
yeah, this is a part of the house, a room that leads to the main entrance. Yeah, you have to discover what happened in this house. As I said before, you just you have this ghost in the house that leads you to explore the different rooms and to unlock all the memories of what really happened in the house. So at the end, you have to find out why you are in this house, what really happened in this house, and who is this ghost. So what you have to do next.
yeah, it's cool.
And yeah,
And this game is made by your wife.
yeah, right.
So the Stelex software are you two guys,
Yeah.
and she and what does she do? What do you do?
So for Film Me Hear Me, she's doing everything. I mean,
Okay.
she wrote the story, she created all the objects in 3D, she created all the texture, all the shadings, the lighting. And what I just did in this game was the programming, the scripting. So I
Mm-hmm.
helped her a
Mm-hmm.
little bit with
Mm-hmm.
Unreal Engine 4. And Unreal Engine 4 is very cool because not like, for example, the version 3 of Unreal Engine, it was all scripting, C++
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. Unreal Engine 4, it's all visual. There is this new
Mm.
kind of programming is called blueprints, and there are a lot of tutorials online. It's easier, and I don't mean it's easy to
Mm-hmm.
to
But it's
do
like
it.
more intuitive.
Yeah, right, you're
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And yeah, normally, yeah, it depends on the project. I mean, for Film Me Hear Me, we did this way, and we have sometimes also extra help. I mean, for Film Me Hear Me, it's a horror psychological thriller, so the sound engineering is very important
That's
in
what
this
I
kind
want
of
to ask
games.
next because
Yeah.
it depends on the music. You could like cut the music out and it's like, yeah, I'm
No,
walking in a
no,
room
it's
and yeah,
not
there's a
like.
light. Yeah.
Uh, no, 80, I think 80% of the horror games is made by sounds and
Yes.
music.
Yes.
It's very important. And for this kind of games, we have some external help, but we try to ask for help from local people. I mean, we don't want to look on the internet somebody from the States and ask, we need this kind of sounds and music and stuff. We try to explore our territory. So in Ticino, and we found a person that is really good in music and in creating real
Mm-hmm.
sound effects.
That's cool.
You can imagine for this game, he was one weekend on the mountain
Mm-hmm.
on a small chalet, a small house, old house,
Mm-hmm.
and he recorded all the sound effects. I mean, the creepy sounds of the door that is closing,
And there's
the step
actual
foots.
sounds,
Yeah,
not
it's
not
actual
really
sounds. Yeah.
digital or whatever. Ah, that's
and
interesting.
and also for Eselmir, we asked the help from other musicians, and
Yeah.
they are all from Ticino, and we are very happy about it.
Yeah. And how is your education? Like, did you start programming? Did you study that, or what did your wife learn? So, where are you coming from educationally?
So by myself, I haven't studied anything about related to informatics or technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first game that we made was only made by passion. As I
Mm-hmm.
said, I was only a great gamer, and I was curious to know how the things worked on the other side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, I will say in Italian, I just worked hard and tried to learn all by myself. So basically, at the beginning, it was all by myself. Then during the years, I had some special instruction about it, and now I'm just a little bit more professional about it.
Okay, okay.
But my wife last week just finished the university.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah,
okay.
and
Congrats
she's
then.
now. Thank you. I will tell
Yeah.
her. And she's now a computer graphic artist, animator,
Mm-hmm.
and she
Okay.
did a 3 year of yeah university in Italy, in Milano, Milan, and yeah, she's now very good in creating animations and creating 3D everything related to 3D.
That's so good.
And
Um,
as Stelec Software, we have also external jobs. I mean, we create games. Right now, it was only a side project. I mean, in our free time, we work on these games, and but we also offer services. For example, if somebody needs an animation or an object on 3D
okay.
object, and we can do it. And since a lot of years, we are working, for example, with Hockey Club Lugano,
Okay.
and all you can see on the big screens on the stadium is done by Aesthetic Software, and we are very happy about it.
Yeah. So,
And
so you're in the Italian-speaking world. I read in the chat, what's the primary distribution country for your games? So,
uh,
what are your plans? Like the whole language barrier. So, how is it
yeah,
doing that?
so for the two games, we already in touch with an Italian publisher. And yeah, this distribution is not very easy. I mean, it's easier now and not 10 years ago, because now you have internet and you have the digital distribution. I mean, with Steam, it's perfect.
Yes.
You don't need a publisher anymore. You have a great game, you put it on Steam Greenlight,
And
and if
the platform is huge. I mean,
it's huge, it's
everyone
really
has a
huge.
Steam account.
But that's cool because you don't have the cost of print the physical copy,
Yeah.
so you can sell directly online. It's a huge store. I mean, thanks to Steam, the piracy is less now, and the market of the PC gaming now is huge. But some years ago, before Steam, it was really low compared to, for example, the smartphones or compared to the console market. PC gaming was really a niche of market. Now it's much better with thanks to Steam and good old games and
blew
stuff
it
like
really
that.
up. The whole Steam sales craziness.
Yeah, but that's good because especially during the sales, I mean, with the price drop down, you take a look at the games and you buy it, and I think when you can have a full game for 3 Swiss francs, I mean, you don't need to download it, pirate it, crack it,
Yes,
and
yes.
risk to have a virus on your computer. So you buy the game, you appreciate the game, and the creators of the games are happy about it because there is a lot of work behind every single
Yes,
project.
it is. It really is.
And
Crazy.
yeah, and to answer the question, yeah, distribution for us. I mean, when we create the games, of course, our mother language is Italian, so we create the game in Italian. And the market, Ticino is too small, really
Yes,
too small.
it's
Maybe you
really.
can sell 10 copies and and 9 copies are for relatives and friends.
Yes.
And so our primary market for the Italian version, of course, is the Italy.
Italy.
But we are in touch with the publisher because we are interested in translate the game, of course, in English because it's the primary
It makes
market.
sense because
Yeah,
online English everywhere.
but also on German because Germany is one of the biggest country that loves to play point-and-click adventure games.
Really?
Really,
Yes,
really.
because of the whole history about.
Yeah. I mean, Daedalic, I don't know if you know
Yes, yes,
Daedalic
I remember
Entertainment.
them. Yes, yes.
They're great. I love their games and they're classical point-and-click adventure games. And if you look on Steam, when there is a also small project that is a point-and-click adventure game, if you take a look at the languages, of course, English the primary languages, but sometimes, most of the times, I mean, there is also German.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
it's a little weird, but also Russian.
Russian. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it, but when I talked about, I had a little bit of contact sometimes with people that works in Daedalic, and they told me that yeah, Russia is an interesting market.
Okay.
And also the Italian publisher that we are talking now for our games told us that they had a lot of games translated to Russian because it's an important market too.
Okay. So, and what are your plans? I mean, how do you think Stellix software is going to be in like 10, 5 years, whatever? Just do you have something in mind, or you just say, let's see, let's do this, and
It's a good question because we have a lot of projects we'd love to work on. Now our priority is of course to finish our 2 games and to do a good work for it. I mean, we have no pressure now, so we are not. I mean, we don't have to release the game a specific day. So we can do everything calm and when the game will be out as we think that is finished, then will be available. So the next step is, of course, finish Film Me, Hear Me and Izmir. This is the first thing that we want to do. And then, yeah, we would like to work on other games. I mean, now we have a little bit more of experience than when we started.
yeah,
And,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean,
and every game you put a lot of more experience in your project. So the next game is also difficult because every new project is not so easy to start, but you have a solid background because you have the experience of the other games,
Yes.
so you know what takes a lot of time, what works, what didn't work, and stuff. So I don't know. We have really a lot of project on our desk that we'd love to work on it. Some are great,
Does it
some are big, some are small, but we really love to do new games in the future.
does it include? I mean, someone wrote like it seems that Italian gamer almost all play on game consoles. Do you care about this behavior? I mean,
Yeah,
did you think about sometime in the future also trying to go console, or is it?
sure, sure. I mean, when the big companies like Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo opened to the indie,
Yes.
they opened a great market because we already asked to Microsoft to have a developer kit in order to try to create our games also for the consoles. Because right now it's much easier to create a game. You just program one time, and you can have more, how do you say, outputs. I mean, you can build a game for the
The
PC.
conversion is easier
Yeah,
than
it's
it was.
easier.
Yes.
And you can see, for example, yeah, last summer when we were at the Gamescom in Germany, for example, Daedalic. If you take a look at Daedalic, but other companies, for example, Microids, the French one, all the new games that are creating are for PC, for Mac, but also for PlayStation and for Xbox.
Okay.
I mean, for example, with Unity, you have the chance to program the game and then have different outputs. Uh, every time you have a lot of work to do because every console has its own specifics, so you have to be careful on the optimization, and it is not so easy. Optimization, I think, is one of the difficult things when you try to do multi-platform. It's not so easy, but it's easier now than years ago. And with love to create a game, of course, if the quality is good enough. If not, it's good only the PC version. But if the quality is good enough, we are very interested in this kind of mind open from Microsoft, from Sony, but also from Nintendo.
Yes, it's nice to hear. Um, do you know others like you doing indie games? Did you connect? Is there community, or how does this work?
Yeah, we in Switzerland we have the SGDA, that is the Swiss Gaming Developer Association, and it's very good because we also receive a lot of communications, news about new events. For example, I met you personally in Bern at the Swiss Toy
Yes,
Games,
yes.
and as you can see, there was a great booth of the Swiss Games, and this was organized by SGDA, and it is cool. Also for the Ludicious that will be in Zurich next January, and yeah, now and then they send us some updates, and there is a very nice community in Switzerland because how can I say? We have a lot of inspiration on each other. We don't see each other as a competitor, as a enemy, but as somebody that we can exchange experience and learn from. And that is good. I think it's a really good scene on Switzerland, and there are a lot of really really good projects. For example, yeah, the Swiss Toy Burn, there was some games that I thought, wow, it's really really well done, and yeah, and a lot it depends on how the budget behind the game is. Of course, we are a small team. We have a budget that is equal at
Oh
zero,
God.
and we
So
try
did you
to
also
fight. But yeah, it's a good scene. It's very nice in Switzerland.
did you also think about crowdfunding and all the possibilities, or what do you think about this? There are a lot of ideas around
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So
I think crowdfunding is wonderful. It's wonderful, but you have to be careful about it because if there is somebody, for example, Tim Schafer, he was one of the creator of Monkey Island, Grim Fandango and stuff.
yes, yes.
when he asked money for Broken Age.
Yes.
I really loved Broken Age. And if you have time, take a look at there is a documentary on YouTube and on Steam too. It's called Double Fine Adventure. It explains everything that is behind this project. I think it's amazing. One of the best documentary about video games. Double Fine Adventure. It's very nice. But when he made this great Kickstarter, I think he asked for 500,000, and at the end it was 3.5 million that he received.
Okay.
It was incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
And one of the first games crowdfunded like this.
I think it was one of the biggest success at the beginning of this crowdfunding. But I think it's awesome because as a developer, I how do you say, I has clearly to defense, okay, I want to do a game like this. I offer you a game like this. Do you want it? If you want it, give me the money in advance for buying it, and I have the money to do it. Also, Broken Age, Broken Sword 5 with Charles Cecil and Revolution did the same thing. And Charles Cecil was very clear. It was not telling lies. It was just saying, okay, we want to do a game like this. Classic, point and click adventure game. Do you want it? Okay, rise it. And it was good. I think it's great for developers because you can stand independent. I mean, when you have a publisher behind you, you have to be really in what the publisher says.
On the date, I mean.
And on the date, on the schedule, yeah.
Bugs, what are bugs? We're done now.
Yeah, I mean that they pay attention to a lot of things, how the market goes, the taste of the players of the moment and stuff. When you are independent, you can do everything you want, and that's good. And I think Kickstarter is awesome for this kind of stuff. But on the other side, I don't know if you have read how many projects that received a lot of money, but the game didn't finish.
Okay, that's rubbish.
Because you know, there are a lot of people that have no experience at all in doing games, and just saying, "Oh, there is Kickstarter. I want to do this kind of game." Yeah, I tried to ask, I don't know, $200,000 for it. I make it, okay, and maybe the people give them the money, but at the end they had no experience, and the money maybe is just for 2 months of work. So how can you trust when you give the money to somebody that has no experience? That is the other side of the the thing. And I think what is not fair, what I really hate about Kickstarter, is when there are big companies behind behind the projects, and they didn't tell you until the project is funded.
Yes. Yeah,
I think this is not fair at all. Yes. No. But crowdfunding is very interesting thing. So I think we talked also for Esomir and Film Hear Me to ask for crowdfunding, but it's not so easy. It's not so easy because there are a lot of good games out there that wanted money to be created, and you need really a lot of visibility. And when you receive money, you have some responsibility. And that's the important thing. So we just wanted to finish our game in the way that we wanted to create it, and maybe if it's the case, we talked about it, but only for example for the translations.
So what's your plan? How do you finance the whole thing? How do you work? Just like doing it in your free time, or what's the plan?
Yeah, for the moment it's only free time. So I mean, we're not paid for doing the games at the moment, and also the budget is very, very tight. I mean, I think for the moment we paid just maybe 300 Swiss francs for some copyrights, for some licensing.
Okay.
But all the rest is all done by ourselves in our free time. We didn't get paid for it for the moment. And the good thing is when you have a publisher is that they give you the money to create the game. But it's not our case for the moment. We are too small for the moment. Yeah.
So what would you tell somebody that that saw this and thought like, yeah, I want to do games, that's a passion of me, where to start and what really to know before. So what would you say?
So my suggestion is, as you said, first of all, you have to be a gamer. I mean, a really, truly passionate gamer. And in creating a game, you need a lot of time. You need a lot of time, but you need a lot of constants too, and you need a lot of efforts. I mean, in creating, for example, Esonmer, it's now 3 years that every single free moment that we spend in the game, and but it's not so difficult to do a great game because you need just one thing, a good idea. When you have the idea, my suggestion is try to do something small at the beginning because it's easier to handle. So then when you have a little bit of experience, you can do bigger things. But at the end, your first project, try to stay as much simple as possible. And it's not easy to stay as much simple as possible because you tend to create great contents. I mean, all your ideas to put in the game and put every new idea in the game, it results that at the end you have a huge game that is not so easy to handle. So my suggestion is really with a good, clear idea, original one, try always to be inspired by something, but at the end it's your product. So don't try to simply copy the style of another game, but this game should become yours game. So it should have something that represent your company yourself. This is the important question, important point for me. Because I see a lot of indie games, but I don't know, they have no soul. I think it's just a rip-off of, for example, old Monkey Island games.
And it looks cool, but yes.
Yeah, I mean the same interface, the same controls, the same situations. Try to be original. It's not easy. It's not easy to create a game, but when you realize you have a good idea and you can create it, try to do it. Because now in 2015, it's really easy to create something. I mean, when I just created the first game in 2004, there was no tutorials on YouTube, but there was nothing, really nothing, and no programs, not at all.
You could download for free.
Yeah, but now
Yes.
you have everything. You have everything. So, I mean, for example, Unreal Engine 4 is freeware now. You can download it. You can register it as a private, as a company. You can use it, and you can sell. If you can sell the game, I mean, if the game sells good, you have to pay a little percentage of it. And I think it's very, very fair. For Unity, the Unity 5, the new version is the same thing. But you have all the software that you need, and most of them are free, and that's cool. And most of all, if you don't understand nothing about scripting, storytelling and stuff, you have a lot on the internet. You have a lot of tutorials that they explain you everything from the scratch to the final build of the game. Yeah, I mean, technically, it's not so difficult. The difficult thing is to have an original idea and make this idea your idea.
So the last 5 minutes, it was very, very interesting. So, but I think we all want to see like the finished game. So what's the plan? Release? Is there a date, or is it maybe somewhere around? What can you tell us?
Yeah, we have a window. It's not so I mean fix. I mean, it can change, of course. Film Me Hear Me should be finished next spring, so March, April should be the final build. Then how I don't know how long it takes to do the contract with the publisher and publish it direct on Steam, because when you have a publisher, you can most of them you can publish directly on Steam without passing through the Steam green light. So I think maybe for the summer should be available, and in Italian, English, and maybe some other languages. And Esomir is a is a long game, really, really long game, and I hope to have the beta version, the finished version of the game by the end of the year. so that by the beginning of the next year we can implement all the translation and do the final test.
Okay.
This is what we hope
Yes,
to
so
have.
but it's really interesting to hear all the view behind the scenes. Thank you very much for
Thank you,
being here.
Silas.
So, yes, anything else to say? Something to share?
Yeah, it was really a pleasure to be a guest of your show. Really, really interesting. I really love to talk about games, about our passion. I think it's your passion too,
Yes.
as we talk together at in Bern. And yeah, thank you for having me as guest. And I hope when our games will be finished that you will
Yes,
appreciate it.
I will
Of course.
absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. So
Of
it's
course, you
really
have to
good.
imagine that we are a small team,
Yes,
so don't
yes,
don't expect a AAA game, but
yeah.
some games that have a soul. And be sure that when the game will be finished, we will there will be all our energy on it, on our soul on it, and we hope that you will enjoy it.
Because I mean, I'm working on a, you know, like on a fantasy world on myself and writing text and drawing and stuff. So, and I also started games, but card games and stuff like
Hmm.
this. So,
Good.
and for me, in my mind, it was always like, yes, someday I'm gonna do it like you know, like a spin-off somehow in a game. So I'm really interested how this could work, and
Yeah.
so it was really nice to see your project. So thanks a lot, and
Thank you.
see you.
Ciao.
Ciao. So, liebe Leute, ich bedanke mich fürs Mitschauen und ich hoffe, für euch war es auch interessant. Für mich war es sehr, sehr interessant. Und wenn ihr das, was wir hier machen, mögt, dann klickt doch irgendwie unten auf Like und teilt es auf Facebook und geht da auf die Facebook-Seite, macht auch noch ein Like und so. Unterstützt uns, dass wir eben genau diese Stimmen, wie wir vorhin gehört haben, dass wir diese Stimmen ein bisschen lauter machen können und ja, dass wir connecten können miteinander. Es gibt viele kreative Leute. Ich möchte einfach eine Kultur schaffen, wo man das ehrt, wo man das wertschätzt und wo nicht nur die großen Namen zählen, sondern auch die kleinen, die halt eben so einen persönlichen Bezug haben. Mir bleibt nichts mehr zu sagen als vielen Dank. Man sieht sich.